All right, so we're joined from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex by my man, fellow Southern Miss alum, Mario Evans, owner of Hey Bite This. I got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School. This is our entrepreneurship class, and we are recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools, Madison Central High School, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for fitting us in your schedule today.
Oh, no problem. Glad to be here.
Now, obviously, we want to talk about all the cool things you have going on with Hey Bite This. We looked at the website. Food looks amazing. So we definitely want to get to that. But just give us a little background. You're originally from Columbus, went to East Mississippi Community College, and then went to Southern Miss, where your degree had nothing to do with what you're doing now. So just
Okay.
give us a little background about your community college, the Southern Miss, and that program you did, and how you kind of got into the entrepreneurship realm.
Okay. Yeah. Out of high school, playing football, got a scholarship offer to Ole Miss, but I couldn't go to Ole Miss at the time. So I ended up going to East Mississippi Community College, played football there, then got a scholarship to University of Southern Mississippi to play football. So how did tie into me doing culinary? Well, I needed money while in school, so I started selling plates out of my dorm, which is against the rules. But I was selling plates out of my dorm room. My roommate was my cousin, one of the Sykes twins, and they would deliver the plates across campus for me. And it just grew from there. So that's how I got into it. But I've been cooking all my life. My grandmother taught me how to cook at 4. She told me I wasn't guaranteed a wife, so it just evolved from that. So yeah.
You, you got a good reaction on that one. That's funny. I've got all guys in here with me today, so
Yeah.
that was a good one. Now you
Yeah.
got your degree in social work, which is a great field
Right.
in itself. Southern Miss has a great social work program, but still, I'm still interested how obviously you had a cooking background and you were slinging the plates. How does somebody with a social
Mhm.
work degree get into running a food business?
So if you look at the foundation of social work, it's all about hospitality. It's about starting where that client or that person is in life. And it's the same thing with cooking for somebody. You got to start where they're at, where their budget is, what kind of food they want, what mental capacity they at, whether it's for a funeral, for a wedding, for a party.
Wow.
All that ties into social work. It just don't have social work just don't offer the food portion of it, but it has the hospitality part of it. So it went hand in hand. And I
Well,
still
I
work
never
in
thought of
the
that.
social work. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. But go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I still work in the social work field too. Like now I'm in my office. I'm a director of career services with Goodwill. So I do
Oh,
that
cool.
because I believe in multiple streams of finances. So I'm always trying to get funds coming in from somewhere.
Awesome.
So
Now, obviously, you said your grandmother taught you how to cook, and one thing I always hear, somebody's a pretty good cook. Oh, you should open a restaurant. Oh, you should start selling food. And cooking for your family is obviously very important, but cooking for your family is way different than cooking for customers.
exactly.
And I've worked in restaurants, and it is way different when it comes to the pricing of food cost and overhead cost in the food business. So one thing that you always see, and the biggest battle that people in the food industry have to fight is how to control costs because people complain about, oh, this costs too much. People complain, oh, you ain't giving me enough. So it is such a fine line, and it is a imperfect science on how to figure it out. So
Mhm.
obviously, we want to talk about all the things you do make because you have some specialty items. But before we even get to that, when it comes to the science of food entrepreneurship, how does that game work? Because I think a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, you can be the best cook in the world, but if you don't know how to do the math of the business side, you're gonna fail. So it's for me. I had the luxury of learning from a few people that knows the business side pretty well. So if you're good in math and know how to plug in formulas, we can create an Excel sheet, plug in those formulas, and that Excel sheet will break down each ingredient per unit
Yep.
of the recipe. So by the time you get done entering all your ingredients, let's just say green beans. You may buy green beans by the pound for $49 a case. After you get that $49 a case, you want to know how much of that case are you going to use in this particular recipe that calls for green beans? Let's say you're going to use 3 cups. You're going to put 3 cups in the formula. Then it's going to break down how many of those 3 cups is going to go actual in that one plate. So that let's say it's going to be break down to be $1. That one piece is going to cost $1. Then you're gonna go to the next recipe. You're gonna do that same process. Next one may be 50 cents. So by the time you get done with every recipe, it's gonna equal out how much that plate should be sold for. So that plate may be sold for $10.
Wow.
Not adding tax. That's $10 before taxes.
Yeah.
So that's how you determine your food costs, your food portions, and all that out of that math formula for that particular item.
Now,
So it's
so
some
we looked at
work.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I agree. Now we looked at the website and looked at some of the pictures of your dishes, and they had some questions about what some of the stuff was. But I don't. I think what they don't understand is the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is one of the most diverse markets in the country, and it is known. And,
Mhm.
obviously, we're here close to New Orleans, and we know about the Cajun cuisine. But the Dallas area is also known for great restaurants and great food. So it is a very fickle market. It's a very diverse market. So it's not something that's just an automatic home run when it comes to selling food to such a market that has such a wide array of people. So just talk about some
Right.
of the things that you do sell and some of your specialty items and how you've kind of found ways to meet your market needs.
Yeah. The market here is very diverse. I pride myself on knowing how to cook a variety of items. So people ask me what's my specialty. I don't have a specialty for that particular reason because I can cook pretty much anything. So
Wow.
you have to find your niche that's going to make you stand out. Once you find that item that makes you stand out, you can build around it. So my item that made me stand out here in Dallas is the fried turnip green bites. No one had ever heard of you frying turnip greens. But I put that concept together. Actually, it came to me in a dream. I woke up right then out of the dream and started writing it down and started practicing until I got it to the way I wanted. And it became a hit. So once that became a hit, I started building my sauces and everything around that one item. And one by one, I built new items for as Crown Royal barbecue sauce, blackberry barbecue sauce, fried ribs, I also do. I got a variety of the bites, like the turnip green bites, the broccoli bites, the pulled pork bites. The bites
Mm.
are my niche to put people in to try other stuff. So once you find your niche, you got to keep building. It's like any other education. You got to keep learning and keep going with food because people palate change with age. So you got to be able to change with it. So
Now,
yeah.
just for clarification, because obviously you're there at your 9 to 5 right now. So when you are obviously you're not running a restaurant, and so just tell us a little about how your business works. Is it catering? Is it events? Do you have food trucks, pop ups? So how exactly does this business work?
So
Because
yeah,
you don't necessarily have to have a brick and mortar restaurant in order to be in this business.
right. So actually, I do run a restaurant. I have one in Mississippi, in Columbus, Mississippi, called BabyDude's Bar and Grill.
Oh,
So,
cool.
so yeah, right. So first thing you got to find somebody that's trustworthy when you're not in the same state as your restaurant. So I co-own that restaurant with my mother. So of course I trust my mother. So she's the face, she's the day to day. I do all the book end of it, or as in ordering the food, make sure inventory up to stock, make sure all the appliances up to par, things of that nature. I also do the food costs of that part. So you have to, with your vendors, your truck, Cisco, or whatever food vendor you like to use, you also got to make sure you just can't take their word on it because they brought that off their truck. You really got to inspect the boxes. Any dents on their food boxes, you should give it back to them. Anything that's frozen and they're supposed to be frozen and they're a little bit unthawed, a little bit of water coming from, give it back to the truck. Tell them you don't want that. Any seafood or shellfish, you got to make sure you get the date that it was given to you, the date that you cooked it, and the reason why, because the reason why you do that, if it's an outbreak, they got to be able to pinpoint where it comes from. So you got to have all that information. You got to keep it for up to a year before you can throw it away. So all those things is on the restaurant side. Now, for us, the catering side, it depends on the event if I use a truck or not here. If it's a big event with like 200 or 300 people, I may use the truck to deliver my item. But if it's something 100 and less, I can go to the Food Depot store and purchase my items myself. And with the catering side, I have a staff, but they different from the staff at the restaurant. The restaurant they're like there. They're always gonna be working there. They on payroll. My catering is kind of seasonal. They come on board when I have an event. They get paid by the hour. Because with catering, you get your money right there and you're done. Versus a restaurant, it's a continuous thing. I prefer the catering side. Honestly, I prefer that side better than I do a restaurant. But catering, let's say somebody wanted to feed 250 people. They wanted a steak meal. That steak meal may run them $30 per person. So you may end up clearing about 10,000 off of that meal. That's after taxes, that's after labor, that's after all expenses. That's what you make clear. But out of that money you clear, you still got to pay your staff. And if you want good staff, you got to pay them well. You can't just try to shortchange them. But catering, I love. Restaurant, I like. So that's the difference between them for me. So yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely, even though they are related, they are different. Now, so like I said, we were looking at your website and we saw some of the things you make, and so just tell us some of the things that we can see that you've made and some of the things you enjoy making, because we saw some of the popular favorites like the pork chop and the meatloaf. We saw the steak. We saw a picture of the turnip green bites. We saw the crawfish bites. So just take us through some of the things that you make and some of the things that are popular.
Of course, with I like to go by demographics. With the Black population, they love the turnip grass. They love the soul food, the pork chops. They love the pasta, things like that. With the Latino community, I get a lot of taco bars, a lot of authentic fajita dishes and things like that. Now with the Latin American, that's when it get a little bit more tricky because their palate is a little bit different. They like a little bit more savory pasta meals. But they like all their sauces to be homemade. They don't want nothing out of a jar, anything like that. So you got to learn how to make those sauces from scratch, from a base or from a roux. Depends on what the items are. Now the Caucasian is kind of funny because they like everything. Like they like all and a lot of the stuff on the soul food side. They think they know how it's supposed to taste, and then when they taste mine, they be like, "Whoa, what did you do?" So, and it's just funny to watch their expression. Like with food and with my food, I can see somebody come in mad and then after they eat, they leave happy. That's my reward. I like to see how my food can change people personalities within that moment. But one of my most favorite thing to make is the candy yam sundae. I make the traditional candy yams. I make a homemade breadcrumb and I put them in a sundae
Wow.
glass, top it with ice cream, drizzle it with caramel and whipped cream, and put a mint on top. And people be like, wait, what is this? They be like, wait, hold up. Then they try it. They be like, I would have never thought this went together. So, because the candy yam be hot, sticky, the ice cream is cool, savory. Then the whipped cream just blend it all together. Then
Wow.
another item I like to make is squash casserole because everybody, I don't like squash. I don't like squash. When I make squash casserole, they don't even know they eat squash until after I tell them they eat squash. So those are two of my favorites to make.
Absolutely. Now, I got some questions from them, but one thing we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this because a couple years ago, a male, went viral all over social media because he was dogging his wife for getting their son a kitchen set. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, the most high paid chefs and cooks on the planet, for the most part, are men. Now, obviously, a lot of women cook in the home. There's some great female chefs. Obviously, there's some unbelievable female restaurant owners. But this is a field that men can make a lot of money in.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can make a killing. People don't realize how much money is in food, um, especially on the catering side. Like I said, you get your money right up front. You in, you out into the next catering gig. Like it's so much money in food, and if you know what you're doing, if you know how to curb costs, and speaking of costs, You got to understand everything is at a price of your expense. If you buying plates, you buying cups, you buying spoon, forks, napkins, all that plays into your budget. So you got to charge for all that. So if you buy a case of cups, you got to do the math to break down how much one cup costs. And then once you get that number of that one cup, you got to add it into your price of your food cost. So you can get reimbursed for paying for those cases of cups. So you got to really understand all that. But man, food, I always tell people food is the way to go. And that stereotype has been around for a while. I didn't let people know knew how to cook until I was teenager because of that stereotype. Because they was like, "Oh, you cooking? How you a football player? And you cooking? You know, you this big guy up here cooking." So you know, it's a stereotype that's need to go away. It's not that serious, man. Go for food if you want to make some money. It's considered a trade, just like being an electrician or plumber. It's a trade.
Absolutely. And then even if you're not wanting to be on the entrepreneur side, in Columbus, there at the W, they have the only culinary
Mm-hmm.
uh, bachelor's degree program in the state of Mississippi, and they are turning out some incredible cooks that go all over the world because people are always going to eat. People are all, all these resorts are always going to need cooks. So even if you're not interested in the entrepreneurship side, really encourage people to look into the culinary side. There's a lot of money to be made. But I do have some questions from these guys. I like this first one. This is Shavaka Page. He's in 10th grade. And he asked, when you first started your business, what did you ever think it would be this popular and this in demand?
No, I did not. I was nervous, scared, and I still get scared to this day when I'm getting ready to do an event. Uh, I had no idea people would like my food because it started off with family telling you your food is good, but family is supposed to do that. When you feeding strangers, that's when it's different. So I was pleasantly surprised, and then for me now to start like mingling with cooks off of TV shows, Top Chef, and all that stuff. They
Wow.
starting to come around, and I'm competing in some of their like right now. I'm in Carla Hall's competition for top favorite chef, so I'm
Wow.
competing in that right now. So it opened up so many doors that I didn't expect to happen.
That's incredible. I like this one. This is Edward Flowers. He's in 10th grade. He's a member of our band. And he asked, was there a staple food in your area that you did not know that you discovered once you opened? And have you incorporated that into your menu?
Um, mm, Arugula is one of them actually. I had no idea about arugula type move to Dallas. They big on it here. I'm just used to romaine, regular lettuce mix, things of that nature. Didn't know about arugula. It has its own distinct taste. It goes very well
Yeah.
with vinaigrette. So I mixed that into my smoothies that I sell and everything now. It's
Oh,
a
wow.
really good diverse ingredient.
That's cool. I like this one. This is Tyler Myers, one of our football players. And he asked, of all the meals you've ever made, what has been the one that has been the most popular and the most requested?
The most requested meal or the most requested item is the fried turnip green bites. But the most requested meal is my um, Jamaican jerk pasta, seafood pasta. It's a pasta
Int-
that is topped with a whole lobster tail, lightly fried king crab mixed in with chicken, sausage, and a homemade white garlic cream sauce. That's the top dish that's always asked for.
That's awesome. This is Tadavian Smith. He's also a member of our band. And he asked, do you have any items you would like to add to your menu in the future?
Oh man, I got a lot of them that I wanted to add. Some of them I'm still trying to put my own twist because I don't like doing basic recipes. I like to take the base of a recipe, make it my own type deal. But I'm really working on putting duck on my menu. I just
Oh,
gotta
cool.
practice a little bit because I'm not really. I haven't cooked duck a whole lot, so I've been practicing and trying to perfect the basic way of cooking it. And then once I get that, I'm gonna put my own twist to it.
Yeah, I had some Peruvian duck down in New Orleans last year, and it was fan freaking tastic. And I'd never had it cooked that way. And like you said, those Latinas like to make it really spicy, but man, it was good.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
This is Jordan Jobe. He's also one of our football players. And he asked, what inspired you to get into this area and to have a restaurant and the catering?
My grandmother. My grandmother died young, but she was a great, awesome cook that never had the courage to step out and do it for a living. My mom also is an awesome cook, so it's my immediate family. It's just cooking is like that skill outside of sports that we all kind of have. And she just instilled in me that making my own money, I'm gonna have to be able to produce something that everybody would love, and food is one of those things that I can produce. So,
All right, I got one more. This is Herbert Carmichael. He asked, what advice would you give someone that wanted to start learning to cook and start a business in cooking?
the best advice I would say is start hanging around and volunteering at any kind of food event. Also, they now have these academies. Like I have my 15-year-old cooking academy now, that you can go to once a week, and they starting to pop up all across the country, and they teaching the basic skills of culinary. It can take you a long way. That's how you got all those master chef kids. All of them go through those little academies. And I would say if you want to start learning stuff, start off by learning the basics of sauces, how to make sauce, any kind of sauce, cheese sauce, tomato sauce. Once you learn that, you can build out and make any kind of recipe you want.
Yeah, we had a guy earlier this year in Washington, D.C., who makes the wings of mambo sauce that's gotten all over the news. And he said the same thing. He goes, I just started with the sauce and then it just turned into everything else. So you're the
Right.
second culinary person that said that. So I tend to agree
Yeah.
with the business you guys are running. Now, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. But a couple of things before we go. Obviously, we got to plug the restaurant in Columbus. You know, anybody that's ever in the Golden Triangle, especially, we got everybody wanting to go to Mississippi State. You're right down the road from Starkville.
Yeah.
Tell us how we can find the restaurant there in Columbus.
Yeah. Columbus, Mississippi. It's called BabyDude's Bar and Lounge. We are located on 201 23rd Street, Columbus, Mississippi, 39701. And if anybody asks you, what city is that? It's not a city, it's just called Sandfield. Just ask for Sandfield and they'll point you in the right direction.
Love it. Now, the last thing before we go, it's like I said, I've got all young men in here with me today. You know,
Mhm.
and you're a great, successful story of a successful black male doing some amazing things out there in Dallas. So I got a lot of talent in here. I got a lot of intelligence in here. But one thing that can never be talked about enough is why we need more successful black men in our community. So why should these guys, as they get ready to finish up 10th grade, really keep in mind that we need more successful young black men in all of our communities?
Man, that is a great point, man. We need black strong leaders across the board. And I can just use myself as an example. All my uncles, we are close in age. All my uncles are high-ranking officers in the Black Gangster Disciples, in the Crips. So of course I grew up in a gang environment. I had some rough fights and things to that nature. But until I left out of my city, through the football, I was able to see the other side of being a black male that's more positive. If I had never seen that side, I probably would be still back in Columbus or in jail. Most of my uncles spent most of their time in prison, so I could have easily followed their track. Or when I moved out and seen some of the other guys I was able to interact with and showed me another way of life, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So having that role model, and as everybody knows, a black male has to work three times as hard, even in the food field, because it's dominated by Caucasian men. So you have to really prove yourself. You got to really go hard. But one thing they can't take it from you, if you're educated, what you're talking about, and you put the work behind what you're talking about, nothing can stop you. So I say you got to keep that in mind and move forward and have a good circle around you. Your circle need to be diverse. They need to be educated, and they need to be a group of people that has more than you. Because if you on the same level with everybody in your group, you can't grow. If you the leader in everybody in your group, you can't grow. So you need some people in your group that you got to learn from and that you can grow from.
Absolutely, and you're such a great story, and I love giving him a hard time, but your cousin and our friend Mari Sites also very successful black guy. right there out of
Mhm.
Columbus, and he's a great role model as well. And, I love messing with him, but all jokes aside, he is a solid dude and a great role model as well. So you guys are both great examples of positive black leaders in our state, in our community, and out there in Dallas. So I really appreciate all the work you guys have done and continue to do. And next time I'm in the Golden Triangle, I'm going to try it out. I definitely got
Yeah.
to give it a. I definitely got to give it a shot. But again, I know you got to get back to work. We thank you so much for joining us, my man, Mario Evans, all the way from Dallas, Texas. But before we go, give me a to the top.
To the top, baby.
All right, talk to you soon, baby.
All right. Thank y'all.